Have you ever met someone so quiet, you wondered what was going on inside their head? A person whose silence felt deeper than just shyness? Today we're going to talk about how the quietest actions can sometimes create the loudest impact, changing lives in ways words never could. The morning fog had just begun to lift over the small town of Maple Ridge. A faint chill lingered in the air as people hurried to work. Wrapped in their coats, clutching coffee cups like lifelines. Among them was Olivia Hart, a 28-year-old schoolteacher known for her exceptionally quiet nature. Olivia wasn't one to talk much. Her students often said she had the softest voice they'd ever heard. But behind that calm silence lived a world of emotions, pain she rarely shared, and a kindness she quietly offered to everyone she met. You see, ever since she'd lost her younger brother Daniel 3 years earlier in a tragic car accident, Olivia had found it almost impossible to express herself. The right words always seemed to fail her. So she started to speak through actions, small gestures of compassion that didn't need any language at all. Every single morning before heading to work, she stopped by the same little coffee shop, a place called Brewed Awakenings. It wasn't fancy, but it had a warmth that felt like a hug. The barista, Marcus, always greeted her with a bright smile and a playful comment about her seemingly endless collection of scarves. "Morning, Miss Hart. Snowflake scarf today. Me guess extra cinnamon on that latte?" he'd say. She'd offer a small, genuine smile, nod, and then, when he wasn't looking, she'd slip a few extra dollars into the tip jar. It was her silent way of saying thank you. But one cold December morning, something different caught her eye. Sitting in the corner by the window was a man who looked completely out of place. His clothes were worn and thin for the weather, his beard was overgrown, and his eyes carried the kind of deep, hollow emptiness that Olivia recognized all too well from her own darkest days. He wasn't begging, but he had a small handwritten sign propped up next to his seat, looking for work. Anything helps. People walked right past him. Some pretended not to see, staring intently at their phones. Others left a little spare change on his table without making eye contact, a quick transaction before they hurried on with their day. But Olivia paused. She watched him for a moment, and her gaze fell on what he was clutching in his hand, an old, worn photograph of a little girl, maybe 5 years old, smiling brightly at the camera. Seeing that, her heart tightened with a familiar ache. When her coffee was ready, she quietly ordered an extra breakfast sandwich and a cup of hot chocolate. Without saying a single word, she walked over to the man's table, placed the warm food and drink in front of him, gave him a soft, understanding smile, and turned to leave. The man looked up, completely startled. His eyes, which had been so empty moments before, now welled up with tears. "Oh, thank you," he said, his voice rough and unused. Olivia just gave a small nod and walked out into the cold morning air, her own heart feeling a little warmer. That single moment stayed with her all day. Through her classes, through her lunch break, she couldn't stop thinking about him, the worn-out jacket, the precious photo of the little girl, and the profound sadness in his eyes. That night, after she finished grading her students' papers, she took out a small note card. She wrote a simple message. "Hope finds us when we least expect it. Don't give up." The next morning, she slipped the note into an envelope, along with a gift card for the coffee shop. When she returned to Brewed Awakenings, the man was there again, sitting by the same window, staring out at the world. She quietly placed the envelope on his table, offered that same gentle smile, and walked out before he could even open it. A few weeks passed, Christmas lights began to decorate the town, and the sounds of laughter filled the chilly streets. But Olivia still carried that quiet ache in her heart for her brother. One snowy afternoon, as she was leaving the school, bundled up in her coat and a new scarf, she heard someone call out from behind her. "Miss Hart." "Wait." She turned. It was Marcus, the barista, jogging toward her and holding a small envelope. "Someone asked me to give this to you," he said, a huge grin spreading across his face. Confused, Olivia opened it. Inside, there was a folded piece of paper and a photo, the same photo of the little girl she had seen weeks ago. But this time, there was a message written on the back. It read, "Her name is Lily. She's my daughter. I lost my job and then my home, trying to pay for her medical bills. But because of you, Miss Hart, I found hope again. The coffee shop hired me part-time, thanks to Marcus. I'm getting back on my feet. You never said a word, but your kindness spoke louder than anything I've heard in years. Thank you. It was signed Tom. Olivia felt tears well up in her eyes. She looked up at Marcus, who was still smiling. Your kindness inspired more than one person, he said. Tom's been helping out here and he's doing great. He said you reminded him what good people look like. Olivia smiled, her voice trembling just a little. That's wonderful. For the first time in a very long while, her heart felt genuinely light. Months passed, and the snow melted, making way for the bright colors of spring in Maple Ridge. Olivia continued. Her quiet acts of kindness, buying lunch for a student she knew was struggling, leaving encouraging notes inside library books for strangers to find, and volunteering at the local shelter on weekends. One sunny Saturday, she was helping at a local community event, a fundraiser for families in need. The park was alive with music, laughter, and the smell of food from the stalls. Olivia was working at the donation booth, smiling at everyone who came by. Suddenly, she heard a familiar voice. Miss Hart? She turned and there he was. It was Tom, but he looked like a different person. He was clean-shaven, wearing a crisp shirt, and had a bright, confident smile on his face. Beside him, holding his hand, stood a little girl in pigtails, clutching a red balloon. Hi, Tom said, his eyes shining with gratitude. This is Lily. She wanted to meet the lady who helped her dad. Olivia's heart melted. She knelt down to be at eye level with the little girl. Hi, Lily. It's so nice to finally meet you. Lily smiled shyly, then she held out a small folded piece of paper. It was a drawing. It showed 3 stick figures, Lee, her dad, and Olivia all standing together under a big, colorful rainbow. At the top, written in a child's crayon scrawl, were the words, "Kind people make the world bright." Olivia's throat tightened, and she couldn't hold back the tears this time. It's beautiful, she whispered. Tom nodded, his own eyes misty. You know, he said, I never really believed that one person could truly change another's life. Not really, until you did. You didn't need to say anything at all. You just cared. That's what saved me. Olivia smiled through her happy tears. Sometimes words get lost, she said softly. But kindness always finds its way. That summer, Olivia's small silent acts continued to ripple through the town in the most amazing ways. One of the students she'd encouraged went on to start a kindness club at the school. Inspired by what he saw, Marcus organized a Pay It Forward campaign at the cafe, where customers could buy a coffee for the next person. And Tom, now back on his feet, started volunteering at a local shelter, using his own experience to help others who were struggling. Everywhere Olivia went, she noticed how the smallest gestures, a simple smile, a heartfelt thank you, a helping hand were multiplying like wildflowers after a spring rain. And though she still spoke softly, it felt like the world had finally begun to listen. Kindness doesn't always need words. Sometimes it's a silent gesture, a small act. A quiet moment of understanding that speaks louder and more clearly than anything we could ever say. For Olivia Hart, her quiet compassion became a voice that echoed far beyond her own life, touching others, healing pain she didn't even know existed. Tom found his hope again. Lily got her dad's smile back, and the entire town of Maple Ridge found a little more love. All because one woman decided to speak not with her voice, but with her heart. In the end, it's a beautiful reminder that sometimes kindness truly does speak louder than words. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, please consider sharing it with someone who might need to hear it. And Dan T, forget to like and subscribe for more stories that celebrate the good in the world. Until next time, take care.